Hi Catty Humans, and welcome back to a new episode of In Just a Notes. If you're new here, this is the series where we see how many visuals we can create with the Just a Nodes network. So let's jump right in. We are gonna need 10 nodes as usual, and we are gonna start with a noise, and we're gonna connect this to a feedback straight in. And from the feedback, we're gonna need a final comp that we can already set up to be connected to the noise with an add operation, and we can already connect it back to the feedback. Now, here in the middle, we need to add a transform to move the feedback a little bit, and then I'm gonna create a new noodle, and this noodle is gonna end up in a slope, then in a blur, so that we can control the definition of the slope with blur. And then we are gonna get a displace from the main branch, let's call it, and displace it using this slope we just set. A final level to control the opacity, and we are almost done with it, since we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nodes, so we have just 2 left. Let me tweak it a little bit already so we can start understanding a little bit more how things are behaving here. This displace is gonna be definitely too much. Let's start with something like that. These are not final parameters, but just so we start seeing something. Okay, let's keep it like this for now, just as a starting point. Let's put a new slope here, and slope should represent like the difference in colors of the nearby pixels. It should represent like differences, so when you have same colors pixel, it stays like plain gray, and when it detects differences in colors, it creates shades. But in this case, we are gonna just use it as an aesthetic, let's say, device, in an aesthetic tool, because it gives like this 3D dimension, like these 3D effects to our plain noise, and we are gonna use this to plug into it into a final noise, so our last node. And if we use this 3D-ish texture we get from the slope, both in the normal input of the noise, so the background, and in the coordinate map, and tweaking a little bit, we can get the like liquid metal effect we are looking for. Okay, for the final noise that is gonna represent our output, I want input per noise as we want to multiply, and you can already see that we have some like metallic looking reflections going on. First of all, we are working with a ridiculous resolution here, so let's keep it to full HD or just HD if you don't have the commercial version. So this is our starting network. Just 10 nodes have been set, and now I'm gonna tweak parameters and show you how you can get all the different looks we have seen in the intro. Okay, let's start with the first visual. First of all, I'm gonna fix the noise, and I want to increase the period up to 10. And also, I don't want the simplex 3D, but the Perlin 4D. And just a few more tweaks, the amplitude up to 2, no monochrome, obviously. And what else? Okay, obviously, we want our pixel format to be 32-bit float RGBA. Yeah, I think we are good with it. Now for the transform, we are gonna apply just a tiny bit of rotation, something like this. And I also want to decrease a bit the scale and extend by mirroring it. And the composition, let's keep it set to add. While for this block, which is the thing that is doing most of the job here, I'm gonna set the 0 point of the slope, the first slope, to something around 0.67 something, and reduce a bit the strength to 0.78 should work. And this blur, actually I'll set it later so you can see what it actually does. And in the displace, I want to displace it just by 0.001 and extend by mirroring it. And in the level, let's put a little bit more opacity going on, almost 1. We want just a little bit of fading. And also we will increase the brightness. Oh, sorry, I didn't set, okay. I want my final node as a background so you can see what happens. So actually the feedback loop isn't giving out anything amazing if we see just the texture itself, but once we set the second slope, like this is where the magic happens, we can see that the, I will say, invisible differences in pixels happening in this last composite from the feedback creates, once we set the slope, amazing movement. And the final noise is just to have some color and accentuate the metallic effect that is already a little bit created in the slope, but I want all metallic textures here. And so I will tell you also the parameters I set for the noise, but for this it's just a matter of aesthetic preferences, so you can check out what I did and set your own. And what else? Yeah, we need to fix a little bit the blur. This is not the best example, this precise visual. You will see better in the next ones probably, but sometimes this slope with some settings get really flickery, and I'm using this blur to reduce the flickeriness and have a smooth result in the displays. So in this case, I didn't set anything crazy. I just put the pre-shrink up to 2, and so we have a little bit more smooth borders. Here you can see, it also depends on what resolution you're using, but probably I set it because I didn't like these borders, which were a little bit scattery, and so with the increasing of the blur, they become smoother, and I preferred like this. Okay, and for the colors, I actually didn't change anything except for the exponent, which I set exactly to 0.88, and accentuate the amplitude to 1.07. Oh yeah, we didn't set the slope here, so this is why we are getting problems. Colors are different because we didn't set the slope, so we want to increase a tiny bit the 0 point up to 0.67, yeah, and decrease the strength. And that should be all of that. No, because I also changed these options, and yeah, that's it. That's the final result of the first visual I showed you. And probably we can decrease just a tiny bit the noise, period, and reset the feedback really quickly. Yeah, those are the colors I was looking for. And let's give it a second to develop. Like, this visual needs always sometimes to get to a coherent appearance, because as soon as you restart the feedback, it keeps a little bit of time to increase the slope and displace effect and get to the final result. Yeah, I decreased a bit the period because the resolution we are using in this tutorial is a little bit different from the one I use for recording the previews. So yeah, I think that decreasing the period give a much closer result to what you've seen. Okay, and we are done. Let's head to the next one. Okay, for the next one, let's start by fixing this noise. So let's keep it Perlin 4D and period 7 for now. And let's increase the harmonics up to 4. I decreased the exponent to 0.99, but probably doesn't affect that so much. For this one, I also moved a bit the noise with a simple abstain.seconds. Let's try This one, no, definitely too fast. So multiplied for 0.05, 0.05, yeah. I think that could work. This time for the composite type, let's set difference. For the slope, decrease the 0.2 to 0.56, something like that. And the strength up to 4. And here you can probably see it would be a little bit more flickering. So I have my, yeah, it gets a little bit more flickery. So I keep my pre-shrink up to 2 and increase the filter size to 32. Oh, I love these blobs. This is not the final result, but they really look like 3D blobs emerging from the background. Let's fix the color first, because I want to keep it like this a little bit more to see what happens. For the color, I add my seed to 10, period up to 2, and we get this beautiful blue. Decrease the harmonics, and we keep the exponent and amplitude at the same levels, because yeah, clearly I thought they were good. They were good as it is. And for the slope, this time, yeah, I kept green and blue modified as we did in the previous visual, and the 0 point increased to 0.789 and strength up to 4. Okay, this is changing a lot and getting a lot crazier. Okay, let's head back to the feedback loop. What did I change? Okay, I set the brightness back to just 1 and increased the contrast, even though it seems contrasted enough right now for me. For the displaced, I increased the displaced up to 0.004, stand still mirror, and I see that I use vertical first to blue. Not, oh yeah, I get it why I did it. Because in the transform right now, we want it dripping. So I decrease the translate and set the scale and rotation back to the standard parameters. So we should get, let me restart it. We should get some dripping going on, almost. In the slope, we already changed that, but I also see that for green, I used horizontal green, and for blue, I used vertical luminance. Yeah, this is it. Okay, for the next one, let's start again from the noise, and let's drop the period to 0.96, harmonics to 3, and yeah, let's keep all the rest as it is. So this time we are looking for a really dripping bubbles on background. So let's have the scaled increase back to 1.001 and avoid any translation. For the slope, who is like the main character in this network, let's drop the 0 point to 0.29. I actually put 5, not 8. Let's be precise. And for the blur, here I can see that I blurred a lot. So yes, let's keep the filter size to 32 and increase the pre-shrink to 3. For the displays, yeah, this is why it's dripping, because we are not displacing on the horizontal axis, but just on the vertical one, and we are displacing negatively. Is that correct? And for the extent, I set it to hold. Not sure that we can see any difference. Let's trust the process, maybe. Let's trust my past self. Let's set up this like that. And for the opacity, 0.95. And let's keep the contrast setting. Composite type. Instead of difference, set it to negate this time. Yeah, so we have these blobs that are looking 3D-ish emerging from the background. For this slope, I didn't change anything, so just let's work on colors. which is so difficult for me because I could lose myself for hours in playing with colors. Yeah, I love this one too. Let's increase. Oh, this lilac and green. That's beautiful. I'm trying to stick to what I did and showed, but please trust me that is really difficult for me. Just going for the final color and not playing around with this like eternally. Exponent, because I probably want it more contrasted. Yeah, 0.62, and I kept the amplitude like that and increased the offset because probably I thought it was too dark. Yeah, I agree with myself. Yeah, so this is the colors I ended up setting in the preview, but I think this in particular would be so worth it exploring more options. I really like that it's in some kind of alien substance, like boiling. Yeah. Okay, let's go for the next one. Okay, while we are here for the fourth, I think already, yeah, for the fourth look, I just want to tell you that I have my Patreon going on, and if you like what I do and want to support me and get updates and some extra content, you can follow me there. And also for this tutorial, to keep it a little bit shorter and smooth, otherwise it's gonna be a crazy long video, I developed 10 variations for 10 visuals in total, and I am posting 5 of them here on YouTube and 5 of them on Patreon. So if you watch all of the YouTube video and you're not still satiated with it, you can check it out on my Patreon page. I will link it below, and this will also help me growing and keep up in doing tutorials and content here. So thank you so much. Okay, for this next visual, we need for sure to increase the period up to 5, rounded up 5. We want this time more harmonic spread. This is too much. We are aiming for 3.5. No, not getting it, scrolling. And same amplitude and same exponent. For the transform, yeah, let's keep it as it is. And for slope, yeah. For the slope, I set the 0. to 0.177. Okay, 7.4 will work as well. And the strength to 2.58. That's fine. I changed also those, but I want to see if it's necessary or I just tried, but it doesn't affect the result. So let's keep it for now. And for the blur, I set it back to the standard parameter of 1 and 7. For the displays, I'm not displacing it right now, actually. Yeah, so I set my displays to 0, so I think we can just skip the displays, and in this sense we probably don't need those 3 nodes. So actually this is in just 7 nodes. Let's see, for the opacity we did something crazy here, and we set it for more than itself and went back to the standard contrast 1. For the composite, we don't keep the negate, sorry, we go to pin light. And for the final slope, we keep almost the same, just decrease the 0. to 0.74. And for the noise, I went for something really subtle, set back to 10. Yeah, I love these colors, love it. And yeah, period, harmonics are staying the same. Exponent, it's fine. Yeah, we are not touching anything else. So we don't actually use these nodes, just for my interest. Let's see what happens if I set some displays. That's not bad also, but maybe we will need a little bit of more blur for reducing this like noisy grain that is creating, which could be a feature, not a bug, but I don't see it working for this. This is like actually my process. I just in just a node series, I just tweak parameters until I find something I like. It's really explorative, and I love doing that for hours. Yeah, I can see why I didn't feel the need to use the displace thing here, just pulse it to reset it. Yeah. I will probably just try to decrease the exponent to accentuate these bubbles going on. And also, oh, cool. There are people shouting out of the window. I hope that is not recorded as well. Yes, I think it works. Yeah, that was the fourth. Come on. If we scale it a little bit more. Yeah, now it looks like, you know, when drops on windows, what's the window part of the cars? Okay, let's just say drops on windows are like dripping around. Love it. Let's check. Maybe this is too fast. Like, yeah, I enjoy it a little bit more slower. Yeah, I did some last minute changes while recording it, but I actually enjoy it more. Okay, sorry for losing myself in it. And also this should be a little bit more bright. Yeah. And let's go to the final visual we are seeing today in the YouTube tutorial. You will find the other 5 on my Patreon. Okay, this is keeping the good stuff for last, because this is probably one of my favorite visuals. And actually, I'm setting this as last. Just a little bit of backstory here. This was the first visuals that I got it from this network. Like I was setting down the network, playing around, putting down nodes, removing them, tweaking and stuff. And at one point, I got this visual, and I was okay. That's it. That's the network I wanna work with for the next episode. So this was actually the first one to get developed, and I still think is one of the coolest. So for the noise, we will need 1.59. 55 will work as well. A lot of harmonics here. Reduce the harmonic spread to 2.4. Harmonic gain stays the same, exponent a little bit lower. So we are going for really high contrasted noise here. Sorry for the strange accent. Amplitude of 1.8. And we are going really crazy here, because we want to reduce the scale of the noise just in horizontal to stretch it a lot. And yes, this is the noise we are working with. Here, we need back our slope blur displace nodes, and for the transform, I want to rotate again, as we did in the first one, and reduce the scale to 0.099, 0.999. For the slope, let's set the 0 point to 0.5, just straight round 0.5, and strength to 1.94. For the blur, we are blurring just a tiny bit, so pre-shrink to filter size 7. I'm also loving this color combination. I don't know if I want to change it in the end. Let's see how it goes. Let's increase the displace weight a tiny bit. And for the level, we want to set the opacity to a more usual 0.999 and the brightness increased 1.002. For the composite, let's use a plain over. And I think this is the int. It was the first one because I was just using a standard over, and then I tweaked around all the other visual after that with other composition types. For the aesthetic slope, let's call it like that, I want a 0.673, it's fine as well, and a strength of 2.68. Yeah. For the noise, nothing's happening right now, but we probably need, okay, period back to 2, harmonics back to 2, harmonics pledge 2, harmonic gain 0.7. Yeah, I went really standard here. Also the seed is just 1. Yeah, because it was the first one, so I didn't make still any crazy changes. Amplitude to 1.28 actually. Yeah, this is happening. And for the offset, I set it to 0.5. Something is a bit different. We are still multiplying it. I really love what I'm seeing, what is going on. Don't get me wrong. This seems like a paint, an oil paint effect. It's just different from the preview, so I'm checking out what I did. It's greener in the preview. Why it is greener? Oh, because the period is not 2 but it's 1. Okay, I add different parameters in this slope, so let's see if this is what is giving the difference. Just the green is horizontal green. Okay, yeah, actually the pixel format should be 16-bit float, and if you see, when it starts, after a while it gets that craziness geometric glitchy thing. That was my eureka moment. It needed its time. I will probably speed this up. Okay. Yeah, when the first wave start to happen, we get all the crazy glitchiness and geometric lines going on. Yeah, and that's what I like about that. And maybe if we set it to mirror, it will increase it even more. It's a bit crazy, but I love it. And just thinking that all this craziness going on is created by 10 nodes, I think it's amazing. Okay, thank you so much for staying here for the whole tutorial. Please remember that the other 5 visuals that I developed in this exploration are available on my Patreon page. And till next time, stay creative. Bye!